Alright guys, so we're talking today about the Pelonis radiator heater over here to my right, and then the Dreo oil-filled radiator heater over here to the left. So we're going to talk about the features, kind of compare those two, and we're also going to do a heating performance test. Now, before I get started, I really kind of want to make you guys aware that these two are actually very similar. Talking about the features, so they do both come with these remote controls, and these basically do everything that you can do on the LED display panels in the front there. This one gains, a bit of a point for having the child lock button on there as well, where this one you have to do it on the LED display. But the features are essentially the exact same. So even the way they coded it. So on the Pelonis, you'll see it's H1, H2, H3. So you'll have your 3 different levels of strength. And then on this one as well, same thing, H1 to H3. And then they both have eco mode, which is essentially just like a thermostat at home. You set the temperature, and then once it reaches that temperature, it'll turn off and then turn back on again when the ambient temperature drops below that. They both have child lock protection, where you hold 2 buttons on the LED displays and that'll lock the ability to change any of the settings. They have tip over protection as well, so if it does tip over, which is really hard on both these two, they're actually very, mobile, and you can move them around easily without tipping over. But if they do tip over, they automatically turn off. They also have overheat protection, so if things get too hot, that's when they'll turn themselves off. They both have the ability to wrap the cords around these guys here on the Pelonis, and on the back you have that. So great for storage. Now we talked about the wheels. I will say you do have to set this guy up. You have to screw in the wheels at the bottom, but it's super easy. You don't even need any tools. It just requires that you screw in the butterfly wings, which really takes about 2 minutes. It was really easy to do. So you can also set timer on both. They're both 24-hour timers, so anywhere from 1 hour to 24 hours you can set it. And lastly, you can mute the sounds of the buttons being pressed. You can do that either through the LED display or, again, on the remote controls. All right, so now we're going to do that heating performance test to see which one of these will heat your room faster and which one of these gets the hottest. All right, so both these have cooled down now, so I'm going to turn each one on to 90 degrees. All right, so I have a thermal camera attached to my phone, so I'm going to use that phone and record, and we'll see what we find. All right, so here are the thermal readings right after being turned on. So we can see the Dreo is hovering around 200 degrees or so, but the Pelonis is already up there around 240, 245-ish. So quite a bit of a gap. About 2 minutes in, we have the Pelonis around 245 still climbing, and then the Dreo is starting to close the gap. We can see it here, it's hovering around 225. So we went from a 40-degree difference down to about 20 degrees. And then finally, around the 4-minute mark, we have the Pelonis around 275 and the Dreo right at that temperature as well here, as you can see here, 275, 272. And then from there on, they basically got as hot as each other. They continue to go up in temperature at about the same rate. So just something to keep in mind, the Pelonis does start out strong, but they eventually even out. All right, guys, so final verdict. These got basically just as hot as each other, the same amount of temperature. It was about 340 degrees. The funny thing is they then both turned off right about the same time. Yeah, so this one will heat up a little faster, but about 3 to 4 minutes. This guy catches up here. And then from there, as we saw, they kind of get hot at the same rate. Take that for what you will, but again, if you're looking for something smaller, maybe this may be better for you. If you're looking for something, with a better modern style such as this, this may be right. So take all those things into consideration, and I hope that helps you decide between these two.